So accountability, another thing here for your culture. Accountability, you must have that in place. People must be accountable to their role, to their job, and what you require for them as well. If you don't, again, like a lot of people like to be told what they need to do. And if you're not doing that, like people like, oh, how do I know if I'm doing good? How do I know if I'm not? How do I know if I'm hitting targets? So it must have consequences, but to have accountability in place, you must have objectives. And everyone must have a number, and you think, a number? So there is people out there, you might think, well, my job doesn't have a number. If you were like, I used to have a thing where it was answering phone calls for our admins. And what that was that there were so many rings, and if it wasn't answered by so many rings, there's a number there. Or how many reports needed to be written in a day. There was a number on it. So there's all these things you can put down to numbers that you can then understand whether someone's performing what you need them to do. How many surveys needed looking at? How many leads I need to get in a day? How many calls need to be done a day? How many bums on seats? It can all be taken down to numbers. You need a place to record your data, otherwise there's no point in it. And you also need to have a review. So there's no point you having somebody accountable to things and you checking in on them and getting their information if you're not going to have a review either as a management team to see progress or feeding back to individuals. So we have a weekly review on our accountability for our teams. We use Todoist, so people can tick off what they're doing as they do their daily tasks, their weekly tasks, their monthly tasks. And also we'll do a review. So every week there will be a report written which takes in all of the data that's essential. So it's not just every single piece of data, it's the data that we think is really essential to know someone's doing their role correctly. Also lets us know if there's anything we need to put in place. If there's a problem in the person's role, like what can we do to make it better, how can we help? And the review then gives us feedback like, this is this area, this is what happened this week, this worked really well, this didn't work really well. But that review is also given to every team member as well in an email. So everybody knows what they need to work on next. So for example, you might have, like, if you have someone working for you, you look at their job and you try and put a quantity on it. So like I said, girls in the office, I used to have a number of how many calls were answered, how many calls should not be missed. So if you can try and put a number on things, I know somebody that, went down to how many, there was a guy who went once into a business, his own business, and he said, why have we only done 5 products of what it was? So he said, so what he'd done, instead of doing anything else for the accountability measures, he didn't have a meeting. He just got a big piece of chalk. So there was a night team and a day team. And this day team had done 5 products of what they were creating. So all he did was get a big piece of chalk on the number and he put the number on the floor in massive writing. Left it. And then the night shift came in. They saw the number 5 on the floor. Said, what's that? He said, oh, that's what the team did this morning. So the next day he came in, there was a big number 7. Where that number was from the team. So what happened there is it was accountability, like this is what we need to be doing, but it also spurred on the people by placing numbers and letting people see what are those numbers. And what they tried to do was each team would then try and outdo the other and better progress and better performance as well. But with regards to having a number on things, so for us, we have lots of different numbers. I have a number of leads I want to have come in a day. I have a number of how much I'm prepared to pay a lead. I have a number of how many calls need to be taken a day. I have a number on my revenue per day. So if you can start knowing what these numbers are and you're able to then hold people accountable to things. So for you, how many boilers get fit? All things. How many calls if they're missed? So mine was 0 for calls missed. I used to have a tracker on the phones that if a call was missed, I knew how much it cost me for a call. I knew every call that came into my office cost me £30 through Google. So if that call was missed, that was 30 quid, just gone. Poof. So I had 0 for missed calls, and the girls knew that, so it would be a case that they would ring that straight back up and have a conversation. And I'd go through and see exactly every single call log that had happened, because every call missed was money to the business lost. So it's having a number.